This has to be a bug. All the notes are played at a quiet piano velocity except for just one. A huge difference, right? Now let's do the same thing on a legato patch. Nothing. That has to be broken, right? There is no difference. Don't worry, your library is fine. Velocity works like a piano. Once you strike the key, no matter how hard you push afterward, the sound won't change. Actually, try to play a crescendo on a single acoustic piano note. By the end of this video, you will know what exactly velocity does. How it's different from expression, when velocity is more than enough, and when it's only half of the job. The absolute best way to understand velocity is to look at an acoustic piano. When you press a key, the hammer strikes the string, harder or softer depending on how you play it. And then the physics takes over. The sound naturally decays on its own, like a built-in diminuendo. You can't change it anymore. That's velocity. It's called velocity because your keyboard doesn't weigh your finger. It measures the speed of the key going down, just like the speed of a physical piano hammer. But you and I care about libraries, and in virtual orchestration, everything depends on the patch. So let's split them in two. Short articulation first. Pizzicato, spiccato, staccato. Here, velocity alone can carry the entire weight of the phrase. Listen to this line. Every note is set the exact same velocity value. Kind of robotic, right? Now, watch what happens when we add real musical expressiveness using nothing but velocity. It suddenly comes alive. Why? Think like a player. Once a violinist plucks a string, they cannot change its volume while it rings out. The natural limitation of MIDI velocity matches the physics of the physical instrument perfectly. Same story with spiccato. So remember this rule. In shorts, velocity creates the internal phrasing of the motif. Now let's solve the mystery from the beginning. Why does velocity barely do anything on legato patch? Because library developers know a simple truth. In long sustained notes, the life happens inside the note. The continuous draw of the bow on the strings, or the constant flow of air. Watch, if I try to draw a crescendo on this sustained patch using only velocity, absolutely nothing. So, let's draw it with the expression fader. There it is. If this were a short patch, velocity would have done the job. But for long notes, we need expression. Depending the library, velocity only triggers the impact of the note. Here is a quick test for any virtual library you own. Don't touch your expression faders, and exaggerate your keyboard velocity to the extreme. If the sustained patch doesn't respond, that patch is begging you for expression. So, how do I actually work with this? I think of it like a physical choreography. My right hand on the keys is the attack of each note. Every finger strike already has a musical intention. That's velocity. At the same time, my left hand writes the expression fader, shaping the life inside every note and across the entire phrase. And here is a habit that really pays off. I always play velocity with musical intention, even on legato patches that ignore it. Why? Because if I later decide to switch that line from legato to spiccato or pizzicato, the phrasing and musical intention are already recorded. I don't have to redo things. And look, if you are not confident playing with both hands on the keyboard yet, there is absolutely no shame in recording in layers or editing values by hand. The final mockup is what matters, not how athletic your fingers are. But there is one massive warning if you write your music on Dorico, Sibelius, or Finale. When you write a beautiful forte or piano, the software assigns one single identical velocity value to every note in that passage. When you export that to your DAW, sounds completely dead. Humans player never attack every note the exact same way. Your job after exporting is not to randomize velocity. Your job is to perform it. Look at the MIDI and ask yourself, how would a musician actually play this? And then sculpt those values accordingly. If you only keep one thing from this video, make it this. Velocity creates the initial intention of each note, but once played, its volume is sealed. Expression is what gives life inside each note or your long patches. And remember, everything we talk about today happens inside a dynamic. If you are still not completely sure about the difference between modulation, dynamics, expression, and volume, I made a dedicated video about that topic and I will link it here. But if you like to go beyond and start making your MIDI sounds real, I put together a free strings legato masterclass. You will find the link in the description below. Let's step up onto the podium.